brothers. We are brothers. I love Russ. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what he say or what the fans say. All that stuff I hear is lies. All that stuff, I'm taking shots at the Thunder or Russell. It's just there to try to separate us. They did it when we were playing together. They tried to separate us. So obviously, they're going to do it even more now. Come on. I don't have nothing against Russell. So what should happen when they see each other tomorrow, Max?
Well, I think Russell Westbrook has to be cordial. I don't think he has to, I think anything else, if he brushes him off or makes a show of it, I think he's playing himself a little bit because that means it really got to him. The idea that they're brothers, what KD is saying here, you don't treat your brother that way. Your brother doesn't find out from the media or from some other way that you've made a decision. You would talk to that person and consult them first, even if they're just your close friend, let alone someone you consider a brother. So KD here is coming off as either inauthentic or really naive about his relationship with Russell Westbrook, who does not seem to reciprocate the love right now for KD. I don't think, Stephen A., that Russell Westbrook needs to blow him off or anything and play himself, show sportsmanship, and go bananas on the court, which is what Russell Westbrook's going to do anyway. I don't think he needs to take it beyond that.
Let me say this, okay? When you think about Kevin Durant, let me look into the camera, and I got to get this over with. Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant is not a bad guy. Kevin Durant is a very good guy and a superstar player. You handled this wrong, bro. It's just that simple. That doesn't mean you need to be excoriated. It doesn't mean that you need to be vilified into perpetuity. It doesn't mean any of that. But you handled it wrong. You walked around for 8 years acting like this dude was your little brother. And maybe he is. But for him to find out via text is bad enough. Keep in mind, that's not what Russell Westbrook told us. When asked after he had agreed to re-sign with Oklahoma City and they had that big celebration outside the arena, when Russell Westbrook was asked about Kevin Durant, he said, I found out when y'all found out. So that's Russell Westbrook telling the world, I didn't hear from Kevin Durant. I heard from everybody. I found out when y'all found out. That's bad. Plain and simple. Kevin Durant, this is not the media. This is not the public vilifying him. This is not people trying to create a divide. This is Kevin Durant making that call and choosing to handle it in the way that he handled it. And here is the part that Kevin Durant, I don't believe, is getting. Kevin Durant should not be accused of taking a shot at Russell Westbrook. What Kevin Durant should accurately be accused of is being insensitive to the fact that it's going to be perceived as you taking shots at Russell Westbrook. Therefore, you should guard what you say and what you do more out of respect, love, and deference to a teammate that you call your little brother. Let's look at this.
He's also being unaware because he continues to say his name.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, it's again, it's not that.
Stop saying.
No. It's not the fact that he's saying his name. It's that you have to be sensitive to what you put the dude through. When Kevin Durant walked out of Oklahoma City, you had to know that everyone was going to assume it had something to do with Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook, therefore, was subjected to a level of scrutiny because you're perceived as the dude who ran away one of the top 3 players in the world, accurate or not. And then Kevin Durant comes with this quote. I love Russ. I love his family. They all know that. I never did anything morally wrong. I never backstabbed him in real life. Never did anything behind his back. Never told anyone anything about his character. Never did any of that. I just left the team. That may be true. But the problem is that wasn't the way that it was perceived because you couldn't go to the man.
Yeah. What should happen tonight?
What should happen? Well, to me personally, the classy thing to do would be for them to shake hands. If I'm Russell Westbrook, I don't want to. The reason I don't want to is not because he left. It's because how you handled it.
If it was you, what would you do? And it's tomorrow night.
Me personally, I might talk to him after the game, but what I'm doing is I'm not shaking hands before the game. I'm going right at him because I want you to understand we are at war.
He can do that on the court. He can make that on the court.
No, I'm saying it's on the court. Now, after the game, we can shake hands. I'm just talking about before the game. Before the game, I wanted to make one comment. I want it uncomfortable. I want to make one comment about the brothers idea. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to be on the same team with your brother. Is to share the ball with your brother and maybe even confront them afterwards when you just want out of that situation. And one of the reasons I think that's a problem, Stephen A., is because while Kevin Durant chronologically or is perceived as the older brother, in fact, between the two personalities, it seems, in that dynamic, Russell Westbrook actually has the older brother personality. Probably so.
So it's tough for Kevin Durant.
Well, I will say this, and I'm going to close the segment with this. This quote right here that I'm about to read from Kevin Durant, we shouldn't bother Kevin Durant again. Let the man play basketball. I'm still upset that he went to Golden State. That I'm not going to let go of because, damn it, I think it's going to be lopsided and it's going to be like and one games or something like that. You know, but in terms of Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant's character, here's where we should let him off the hook, leave him alone. Listen to this quote from Kevin Durant. I was in the phase of finding out who I was outside of basketball. Westbrook already knew who he was. He already had a stable life. He had stable parents, a girlfriend through college. I didn't have none of that stuff. I'm trying to find out who I am, which I didn't know, which is not a bad thing. He knew who he was. That is an incredibly honest, heartfelt statement from a class guy who happens to be a superstar in this league. I got nothing else to say about Kevin Durant. That is very aware and that's genuine, and I can respect that from Kevin Durant.
Is he referring to the moment where he made the decision? Because I hope who he is someone who would tell his guy, look, this is what I'm going to do.
But I think if he doesn't shake his hand real quick to your earlier point, it doesn't necessarily mean he got to him. It could just be like, I'm not really down with you. I don't respect you. Just saying. Coming up, this is going to be good too, gentlemen. Ronda Rousey hasn't fought since being knocked out by Holly Holm nearly a year ago. Now she's saying she's almost ready to...
Not that long. I'm wrapping it up. This is definitely one of my last fights. So.
One of your last fights?
Yeah, everyone better watch.
Yeah.
The show is going to be around for...
Side note, I love Ellen. After her heartbreaking loss to Holly Holm in a year layoff, Ronda Rousey says she's gearing up for her UFC return December 30th against Amanda Nunes, but she's also preparing for the end. Max, this is interesting timing. How do you feel about her saying this and bringing that up ahead of her much-anticipated return?
Well, it helps the promotion. You know, if you think this is it's supply and demand, there's going to be less supply, the demand goes up, although there's already tremendous demand to see her. Look, it's a combat sport, and in a combat sport, there's some who would say if you're even thinking about retirement, you're already done, you should hang it up. But certainly if you see the end is drawing near, don't hang around too long. And she has options. She has other things she can do. I think history, if that's the case, will record her in MMA the way that Jack Dempsey has been recorded in boxing, who was a trailblazing heavyweight and attacking fighter, who was, Teddy Atlas once described Mike Tyson this way. He was a shooting star, not a planet, not a star. He's something that shone more brightly than any other object in the sky for a little while and then burnt out, as opposed to kind of like a fixed star in a constellation. That was Dempsey, that was Mike Tyson, and that's Ronda Rousey, a trailblazer, the biggest star in the planet in her profession and one of the biggest in the world anyway. But if this is true, someone who didn't adjust very well to be no longer being invincible. You know, all that said, if she's feeling like it's getting close to the end, then she should get out.
How can I put this? I can't disagree with what you said. I don't like it. Here's what I don't like, and I want to preface my comments by saying I not only respect the hell out of Ronda Rousey, I am a fan. I'm a fan of her as a fighter. I'm a fan of her as a person. I've met her. She seems to be a wonderful, wonderful person. And as a fighter, she was a badass. There's no doubt about it. Here's what I don't like about it. Whether you win or lose, she talked about winning. She talked about being the role model. She talked about all of these things. When she was knocking people out or, you know, or you know, forcing them to submit and finishing them off in 6 of her 12 consecutive wins in the first round, okay? She was doing all of that and she was talking about all of those things. The second she lost, There was a while where you couldn't find her. Then she went on Ellen DeGeneres' show, who's the best. I love me some Ellen DeGeneres, okay? And then so she goes on the show, and she seriously talks about how she wanted to just die because she felt bad. So is that about losing, or is that about losing the mystique and the image that you worked so hard to create? What I'm trying to say is that wanting to walk away, it's like it's not consistent with who you've promoted yourself to be. It's not, you went through a lot of adversity to get to where you are. And so now, the first time in your career that you lose, all of a sudden you want to bow
This
out.
happens to dominant offensive fighters in particular.
Yeah.
Jack Dempsey lost to Gene Tunney, lost a rematch. He was done. Had a fight with Sharkey in between. Mike Tyson was never the same after Buster Douglas. George Foreman lost to Ali.
But he fought.
George Foreman lost to Ali, lost another fight, retired for 10 years.
But he fought.
Yeah.
He fought. And I'm saying
Who's
Mike
you gonna
Tyson was
fight?
still around because Mike Tyson was able to come back and go through more adversity. It got worse for him, but he was willing to go through it. You Ronda Rousey, you go back and you lose to Holly Holmes. Okay, you lost to a better fighter.
Yeah.
But not to fight at all against that opponent.
No.
That's not wrong, but in combat sports, if you think you're done, get out.
I liked your argument about maybe it was to sell fights, but for some reason I feel like it's coming across she's just not that into it. Coming up, the first college football playoff rankings were finally released last night. Did undefeated Washington get robbed? We get into it. Brothers. We are brothers. I love Russ. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what he say or what the fans say. All that stuff I hear is lies. All that stuff, I'm taking shots at the Thunder or Russell. It's just there to try to separate us. They did it when we were playing together. They tried to separate us. So obviously, they're going to do it even more now. Come on. I don't have nothing against Russell. So what should happen when they see each other tomorrow, Max?
Well, I think Russell Westbrook has to be cordial. I don't think he has to, I think anything else, if he